श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। शारदा शारदाम्बोज वदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिं क्रियात्. Namaste. I am Dr. Nithya Ranganathan and I completed my doctorate from the University of Mumbai under the able guidance of Dr. Uma Vaidya. It is a very proud moment for all of us that the department is now celebrating the Diamond Jubilee year. And I also thank the department for giving me this opportunity to give a lecture on Indian knowledge systems. Keeping in mind the theme, I would like to talk today about Druma-vichitrikaranam, that is plant mutagenesis in ancient India. Explaining roughly, Druma means a tree in general terms, and in the botanical sense it means a flowering plant or a flowering tree. Vichitra means to create a wonder and Karanam means to make. So in other words, the term Druma-vichitrikaranam implies a procedure to make wonders on trees, that is traits which are different from their natural qualities. Now in today's parlance, this is equivalent to plant biotechnology. There are two main reasons for attempting such modifications. One is to increase the yield and two for horticultural purposes. And the two main techniques to achieve these modifications are hybridization, which is called as Sankara Jatyotpatti in Sanskrit, and mutagenesis, that is Druma-vichitrikaranam, which we are going to see today. Now, hybridization is done at the visual level, where the parent plants having the desired traits are picked and crossbred so that the progeny plants will display the desired characteristics. Now, whereas mutagenesis involves the genes at the genetic level. So, it uses mutagenic agents which will modify the genes for controlling the traits which are required in the organisms. So, this proves that ancestors were well aware of the fact that there are units called genes which are responsible for the various traits of the organisms. So a large number of encyclopedic texts have devoted an entire chapter to Druma-vichitrikaranam, and the first ever reference can be found in the Rig Veda. Some of the other texts are the Atharva Veda, Harivamsha Purana, Bruhat Samhita, Artha Shastra, Kama Sutra, Sharangadhara Paddhati, the Tamil Sangam literature, etc. So the Kama Sutra mentions that horticulture is one of the 64 kalas that one has to learn. Then there were texts which were solely based on Vriksha Ayurveda, such as Surapala's Vriksha Ayurveda, Kashyapya Krishi Sukti, Krushi Parashara, and they also discuss this topic, that is Druma-vichitrikaranam, or to create horticultural wonders in detail. The Harivamsha Purana describes the first instance when Druma-vichitrikaranam was performed. It was performed by sage Kashyapa. So sage Kashyapa was very much pleased by the services rendered by Aditi, and he transformed a Mandara tree into a Parijata tree on the banks of the river Ganga. So this tree bore flowers which was similar to that of the Mandara tree. However, its appearance was different. So the people were very much surprised by this transformation, and they would ask, Koyam Daraha, which is this tree, and therefore the tree came to be known as the Kovidara tree. So we shall now compare the Druma-vichitrikaranam, the experiments which have based on Druma-vichitrikaranam in 6 of the treatises, which have why these 6 treatises, 6 particular treatises. Why these 6 is because the specific experiments have been discussed in much greater detail in these 6. So these would be Surapala's Vriksha Ayurveda, Chavundaraya's Lokopakara, Someshwara Deva's Manasollasa, Sharangadhara's Upavana Vinoda, Chakrapani Mishra's Vishwavallabha Vriksha Ayurveda, and Bhasavaraja's Shiva Tattva Ratnakara. Now, Surapala was the author of Vriksha Ayurveda. He was a prominent physician at the court of King Bhimapala. Lokopakara was composed by a famous poet Chavundaraya in Old Kannada language, and the title can be translated as Lokopakara, that is for the benefit of the common people. Manasollasa, which is also called as Abhilashitartha Chintamani, this was composed by King Someshwara. Now, Druma-vichitrikaranam comes under the first sub-chapter titled Bhudhara Krida under the 5th chapter. Sharangadhara composed Sharangadhara Paddhati, and Vrikshayurveda is covered under the chapter titled Upavana Vinoda. The author of Vishwavallabha Vrikshayurveda was Chakrapani Mishra, and he was a scholar in the court of Maharana Pratap of Mewar. Basavaraja, he was a scholar king in Karnataka, and he composed the Shiva Tattva Ratnakara in Sanskrit. Now, let us look at the kind of experiments that they have performed. What are the wonders they have created on the trees? So, when we see the list, now we can get we can see that the first thing they attempted was to produce fruits and flowers throughout the year, as well as out of season. So we can see methods to grow mangoes, pumpkin, brinjal, cucumber, ash gourd, then Indian oleander, jujube fruits, neem, ironwood, Spanish cherry, etc. So they attempted to grow these plants throughout the year, and they also wanted to induce jasmine flowering in the spring season. So these are the experiments that are described, where the time is being factored, the different time, not a regular seasonal time, it is being extended time, that is either throughout the year or at times which is not natural for that plant. Then the other experiment was to produce fragrance or to alter the fragrance of flowers. So in today's market, the fragrance industry is a very huge market because of the perfumery industry, and there is a huge market for flowers. And now, if we look at it, we are scientific in a very technical manner. The fragrance, the molecules which give fragrance, are produced by the terpene pathway. So, however, molecular technology to modify such pathways, to alter the genes of these pathway, to make the flower produce fragrance to a greater extent, to a stronger extent, or the flowers to produce, to get the flowers grow throughout the year. So, all these is very expensive. So the simplest method that was given in the treatises which we are seeing comparing of Vrikshayurveda, the technique that they have adopted is to provide the raw materials for these pathways in excess in the manure, in the nutrition that is provided to the plant. And then it is expected that the presence of these substrates will induce the pathways to be activated, and thereby the plants will produce the fragrance in excess. So that is one thing, is to change the fragrance, changing the fragrance or interchanging the fragrance between the flowers to make the flower with a different fragrance. So all these are what was being attempted at those times. Then the third thing, let us say that the third experiment we may call it, is to alter the taste of fruits. Now fruits, they are generally eaten raw, and they need to have a very precise blend of taste. So generally sour fruits are not preferred, and so they have to have a precise blend of taste which will give the everlasting taste in the impression in the mouth. And therefore the fruit is the fruit taste is also very economically important quality or trait. So, but this is not very easy. It is a very complex one, because there are, as we know, there are many rasas. There are shat rasas, and therefore it is an interplay of all the genes, all the pathways of all those rasas. So, therefore, it is not an easy thing to modify. So but there are methods which are described, procedures which are described to convert most of the sour fruits into sweet fruits. And there is one, that is Surapala has also described a manure to make fruits more pungent. Now that will probably for chilies, to make them more stronger strong pungent taste for the chilies. So this is so to convert bitter fruits into sweet fruits, sour fruits into sweet fruits. So these are the experiments that they have worked on. Now let us keep in mind that these traits are, though we are saying they are traditional traits, but they are very much in use even today. Those experiments that they have performed, we need to study those even because they are applicable even today. Okay, moving ahead, the other is to alter the color of fruits and flowers. So now we know that each flower is associated in the Hindu pantheon. Each flower is associated with a particular color. Each god is associated with a fruit or flower of a particular color. And so they have attempted that, and most of the conversions are conversion into golden color, converting flowers into golden color, because that is the color of prosperity. And then there are other experiments to convert them into white color or red color also. So now this is there is a involvement of the flavonoid pathway. So, and these flavonoids have a very important role in the building up the resistance of the body also. So therefore, including these in the diet is also important, and keeping that in mind, Surapala has described methods to produce black, red, green and golden colored fruits which can be safely incorporated into the diet. Now these days we use food coloring, so that is not healthy because those food colorings are carcinogenic. So here is the methods have been given to make safe food coloring, not coloring, you can say fruits of colored fruits which can be safely used in our diet. And the other advantage of having colored fruits is in the cotton industry. So that is there's no need, this would bypass the need to dye cotton if it is available in different colors. So therefore dyeing cotton requires lot of chemicals and animal and plant resources as well. So all that can be bypassed, making it less expensive and also sustainable. So that way there was also the sustainability aspect was also kept in mind when these were considered. Then is something which is totally unimaginable and that has not been attempted any time, even now it's not been attempted. So this is a very extraordinary transformation, and that is to grow totally different flowers and fruits on completely unrelated trees. For example, growing champak on cherry tree, Spanish cherry tree to be precise, or to grow lotus from lilies, and or otherwise growing lilies on cherry, that is converting a terrestrial tree into an aquatic tree. And the reverse is also there, heart fern from the lily plant, so converting an aquatic into a terrestrial tree. And then mangoes on banana trees, that is plantain trees, bitter gourds on castor plants, even pomegranates on mango trees, banana trees. Then brinjals from the seeds of the neem tree, and also Indian oleander from lily. Now Indian oleander is a totally terrestrial plant and lily is an aquatic plant, but we have to convert them. Then poison berries from mango seeds, and brinjals on the red gourd, the pumpkin. Then there were methods to cure barrenness, and also methods to convert trees into creepers and creepers into trees. Now trees into creepers and creepers is not very simple, because as we know, the physical form of the trees and creepers are completely different. A tree has a very bulky form, whereas a creeper is a very thin one. And so if we had to convert a tree into a creeper, then what is a tree? For example, a mango tree would have to shed all its bulky form and become a thin climber. And the other way around, if it is a climber, it has to gain a lot of weight and take on a bulky form. So these are the kind of changes that they have described. And even Kalidasa had described a Sahakara Lata. So that means mango creeper or a climber was existent during his time. Then there is the dwarfing trees. Now this is similar to the art of bonsai, which is and this bonsai is this is achieved by restricting the growth of roots, the spread of the roots. Then also there is they adopted growing multiple species of fruits and flowers on a single tree. Now this is also achievable by the method of grafting, where we have achieved multiple species of mangoes on a single tree. So this is being done even today. And the other thing is to delay or hasten ripening of fruits. Now, why would you want to delay or hasten ripening of fruits? Delaying ripening of fruits is very important because these are all related to economical advantages to the farmers, because once the fruit is plucked, it starts to ripen very easily. But nowadays, because the farms are elsewhere and the customers are elsewhere, from the villages to the cities, the transportation in between, if the fruit, because fruits are highly perishable, it is important that during that time they should not perish fast. So therefore, if we delay the ripening of fruits, they can stay longer till the time they reach the end customer. Apart from that, if they delay ripening in a stage wise, then there can be a continuous supply of fruits also throughout the season. Otherwise, if all the fruits ripen at the same time, then the stock would be over. It won't last throughout the season. So that is one part. So the staggering fruit ripening is also very important from the economical point of view. Then to hasten dropping of fruits, because when the fruit falls, it generally may get damaged because of the drop height. So but at times the other point is that fruit may be stuck may be held very firmly by the plant, and it may be difficult to pull it down also. So for that reason, they need to hasten the ripening so that the ripe fruits tend to fall and they can be plucked easily. So this is also very important from the economical point of view, and therefore they have been attempting this. Then there is also a very method which is very strange for this, but they have given methods to destroy trees if at all it is required. Though we know that trees are respected as sons and growing trees definitely leads to punya, but methods are described to how in the very rare cases where they may be required to destroy trees or kill trees. Then there is the need to cause immediate sprouting of seeds and immediate production of fruits. So immediately the seeds, the germination time is reduced, the fruiting time, the ripening time is reduced, everything is reduced, and there is immediate germination and production of fruits. Again, this is from a standpoint of a time where the demand has to meet the supply has to meet the demand. And then we can grow multiple fruits on a single branch, growing fruits and flowers in bunches so that they increase the quantity. Then also to increase the size of fruits and flowers, and also to alter the shape of fruits and flowers. Then the other one, which is already well known, is to produce seedless fruits, because seeds interfere with the final taste of the fruit and they may lead a bitter taste when the person eats the seed. So therefore seedless fruits are preferred, and also because seeds cause deterioration of fruits, because the main function of seed is to germinate, so it would try to bring about germination, and the fruits would ripen faster. So therefore seeds have to be are not preferred within the fruits. Then to cure barrenness of trees or plants which have lost the power of producing fruits or flowers, and also and one text describes how to grow jackfruits from the bottom, and also to hasten the flower of jasmine, because jasmine is a preferred flower, so a very fragrant flower. So, and finally how to avoid the fading of bluebell flowers, and also to cause the eternity, to make the white pumpkin creeper grow eternally, make it a permanent one. So these are some of the objectives which are dealt with in the in these texts which are dealing with horticulture, and many a times we can see that the same procedure is described in multiple texts. So that means these were tried and tested and proven methods. So it's not that just one author is describing that. Most of the authors describe them. Many authors describing them. That means they have repeatedly seen that the method works. So so they should work if one tries them even today. And in fact, a lot of importance was given to horticulture. So the Arthashastra is calls for the appointment of a Sita Dhyaksha, that is a superintendent of agriculture, and also a Gulma Vriksha Ayurveda, that means an applied botanist. So as per Arthashastra, he had to know the art of seed collection and selection, soil selection, sowing, seed germination, propagation methods such as grafting, cutting, planting, nursing, manuring, crop rotation, cultivation under favorable meteorological conditions, plant treatment, plant classification and identification, landscaping, and so on. So these were some of the objectives which now the scientists are working on even today. So but the methods that they use are very expensive ones, such as within the laboratory, such as isolation of the particular genes through splicing, amplification of the DNA, tissue cultures, then application of mutagenic agents. So many times these mutagenic agents are carcinogenic. So they are hazardous to health. So the methodology which our sages, ancient sages, have adopted is completely different, and it is based on sustainability. It has a sustainability as its core point. So they have described, if you see these procedures, various organic formulations with natural ingredients that are easily available to the farmers, and these have to be sprayed or applied at the different parts of the plant on regular basis. So these natural ingredients, they worked as mutagenic agents, and so the basic idea is to provide enough of those substrates so that the pathway is activated and the desired transformation is achieved. And the raw materials that they have used are easily available, like honey, coconut water, milk, ghee, cow dung, triphala, bones, licorice, just to name a few. And one of the very important one is Kunapajala, which is an organic liquid manure with fermented ingredients. So the liquid part means it is easily absorbed by the roots, and the advantage of it will easily reach the roots and can be easily absorbed. And the fermented nature of Kunapajala means it's easy to uptake for the plants. Because since it's fermented, the high molecular compounds are already broken down into simpler compounds. So it's easy for the plants to absorb the nutrients also. And then there are some odd materials also, such as the skin of the python, iron or gold nail, then ivory. So they are odd, and we don't know how they have aided in this. That needs some bit of study. So, and all of you may be aware that in plant tissue culture laboratories, the seeds are sown in the test tubes with nutrient medium, and it's a very expensive technique. Plant tissue culture is. So, so here also, instead of using that, instead of test tubes, the ancient sages have used the white pumpkin, which is also called as the ash gourd, and a similar way instead of test tubes. And so the seed is kept in the white gourd pumpkin and allowed to germinate. So there the white gourd pumpkin provides the moisture, the required nutrients, everything is provided. And the most common mutagenic agents in many of the experiments is alangium, that is called as ancola. So the very aim of reflecting on the Indian knowledge systems is to find the solutions to the various problems that the society is facing, and that this knowledge that the ancient sages have put into various treatises is for the sake of the future generations, to benefit from their knowledge. And the beauty lies in the sustainability factor, from which they have never deviated, so that the generations beyond too do not face any crisis. So now let us look at the modern day scenarios where this Druma-vichitrikaranam can be applied, so that the crisis may be overcome. So one field is the food supply. So Druma-vichitrikaranam, food supply is in a very grave situation, condition. In this scenario, the principles of producing fruits and flowers throughout the year, increasing the size of the fruits, and methods to grow them in bunches, that is increase the production, all these will help them, can maybe reduce the gravity of the situation. Then we have something which we call as aposematic warning. Now these are warning colorations which are adopted by animals to ward off the pests which attack them. Now the aposematic, the plants can also be induced to display such coloration. Now when they display the coloration, they will give a warning to the pests, and also by this the use of chemical pesticides can be avoided. Then there is plant resistance. So plants do not have a well developed immune system like how the animals do. However, they are known to release some compounds when they are attacked by plants. Now these compounds, they attract the predators of those pests. So and also warn the neighboring plants. So if by the same principle, if the plants are release these volatile compounds, then the pest can be kept under check, and again pesticides, fungicides, all this can be avoided. And then the next application can be drought and salt tolerance. Now we see that over these years, due to pollution, the soil quality has reduced considerably. Many areas have been rendered infertile, and also rainfall is not up to the mark. So there are drought-like conditions in repeatedly. So under these conditions, we need to have plants which can be drought and salt resistant. Now the text do not describe as such drought and salt resistant plants. However, in excavations at Mohenjo-daro have revealed the use of the existence of wheat plants which were drought resistant. So now those seeds have to be, the wheat grains have to be studied, and based on that we need to introduce drought and salt tolerance in the plants. And also then we can come to phytofortification. Phytofortification is the fortification or making the plants more nutritious by increasing the vitamins and metabolite content in their system. Now this is done, as we already know, many of the health drinks they say are fortified with vitamin D or calcium and so on and so forth to overcome the deficiency that the population faces. And the same logic here, the plants will be fortified with required vitamins. So there are sprays which have been described, and soil and air sprays, application at the roots and at the leaf level, so they can be applied to the plant so that the plants incorporate those metabolites, and then the end customer, the person who eats it, will also be able to have the nutrition, and this should help us with tackling malnutrition. Then there is phytoremediation. Now phytoremediation is also when plants are used for bioremediation, that is called as phytoremediation. Now what is bioremediation? Bioremediation is to remove toxic materials from the waste or pollutants from the soil. So there are some plants which have the capability of removing heavy metals from the soil, and in those plants we can find compounds which we call as glutathione, that is in excess. So if we are able to give the nutrients for glutathione, and so that all the plants are able to do the phytoremediation, it would help in betterment of the soil quality. Then there are biofuels. Now biofuels, they are considered as the best alternative for the non-renewable fossil fuel sources, and it is required to produce in order to produce biofuels, plants should produce ethanol, which can be easily extracted. But if not, then they should at least produce the raw materials for this, which are amylose and amylopectin. So if we make the plants produce amylose and amylopectin, and then these are extracted to create ethanol, then we can make biofuel ethanol, and this is what is the fuel is said to be the fuel of the future. So which is environment friendly fuel of the future. So there is a saying like old is gold. So that is also it is also the true in the case of Indian knowledge systems. So the treasure of information that our forefathers have obtained through extreme perseverance has once again to be brought to the fore, and only this knowledge will have the capacity to save humanity, as it combines both experience and sustainability. So it is possible for the ancestors to achieve this. It was possible for the ancestors to achieve this only due to their environment-centric lifestyle. with utmost reference to the Pancha Mahabhutas that they had, and now the need to revive this tradition, the call to revive this traditional knowledge is only getting louder. So I end my lecture here, and I would once again like to thank the Department of Sanskrit and all my teachers and seniors who have given me this opportunity. Dhanyavadaha.